We welcome viewers from around the world. You're watching BBC News. I'm Sean Lay. Let's take a look in a moment at the pictures from NASA of the Dragon craft, the SpaceX craft, which is going to be splashing down in the Gulf of Mexico. These are the pictures we're seeing. We can see the parachutes have already come out to slow the descent of the aircraft, of the seven-seater vehicle, which got two astronauts in it at the moment, Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken. Remember, this is the first time in more than 40 years since the end of the Apollo program that we've seen a splashdown. Let's talk to Jonathan Amos, BBC Science correspondent who joins us from Cambridge, and also to Libby Jackson, who is Human Exploration Programme Manager at the UK Space Agency. Libby, first, it's a very exciting moment and a slightly scary moment.
So at this point,
I'm watching the pictures live now. It's a beautiful moment. We haven't seen this since 1975. I've never seen it live with humans underneath. It's a very reassuring moment to see all four parachutes out working as they should. It's a great sign, and yeah, looking forward to seeing the crew landing shortly. Definitely a relief to see the parachutes open. This was a test flight, after all, still is. And everybody was watching very closely to make sure everything goes according to plan.
Jonathan, they've used dummies. They've done it with cargo many times, SpaceX, but there's nothing quite like the human aspect in all of this. How important is it, do you think, for a kind of if you like, a revival of the space program? Because it's hard to, sometimes it's easy to forget, rather, that actually it's been a long time since we've really had astronauts going up and down on a regular basis. And in craft of this kind, as opposed to, of course, the shuttle program, which ended, what, 7, 8, 9 years ago now?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shuttles were retired in 2011, and since then, American astronauts and indeed European astronauts have been relying on the Russians to get them up and down to the space station. This changes the paradigm completely. Because not only do we have SpaceX coming forward now with their capsule Dragon, but we have the Boeing Corporation very shortly to introduce their Starliner capsule. And that means then that we have two independent means of getting astronauts up and down, certainly from the United States, but then you have that third system, Soyuz, which we will continue to use. So if we have a problem with one of them, then we have two. If we have a problem with two of them, we have one. So we won't be in that situation where we can't get up to the space station or get down, and there's a problem with supplies, cargo, and then we have to take people off the space station because we can't run it properly. This really opens up the full exploitation of the space station really for the rest of its time. But critically, it allows NASA to divert its money, let's put it like that, divert its money to the big plan it has to take people back to the moon and onto Mars. They think that this sort of contracting out that they're now doing with these private companies is going to save them billions, and that's money they can usefully use elsewhere.
Libby, am I right in saying that we're now seeing the final set of parachutes, that slowing the craft down to give you a gentle fall into the water? Oh, here we are. I looked away to Libby, and there we are. It's safely down. The Dragon craft is back on planet Earth, albeit floating. Libby, it's going to be floating for a little while, isn't it? They're not just going to pop their heads up and wave to the cameras.
They're not, but I think you can already see the boats, heading off towards it very quickly. So it's going to be moments before they're joined by the first rescue craft. It looks like it's bobbing the right way up. It looks a very gentle landing, actually, which will make Bob and Doug and everybody at SpaceX and NASA very happy. It can be quite bumpy inside the capsule on landing.
Yes.
So yeah, the craft speeding towards it, they'll make sure that it's secure, and then in a little while the craft will be scooped out of the water as a whole, with Bob and Doug still inside it, onto another ship that will come and join it shortly. And then once it's out of the water, the crew will get out of the capsule.
Yeah, it would be rotten luck, wouldn't it, to get seasickness after a journey like 21 hours from space, coming through, what, temperatures 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit, 18,000 feet drop, all of that, and then to not to put too fine a point in it, throw up inside the capsule because the water's a bit choppy.
Happens to astronauts, and I know they've got sick bags in there just in case.
Let's pick up on what Jonathan was saying about the importance of this as a catalyst for development of commercial opportunities in the space program. Is it just a question of, bluntly, taxpayer-funded agencies like yours and NASA saying, well, actually, this is such an expensive thing, we've got to get the private sector to do it, they can do it a bit cheaper? Or is it more about the other potential developments that could come from this, that it's not anymore just about governments rivaling each other for control of space?
It's both of those and much more. By opening it up to other players, to commercial players, you see innovation. The SpaceX Capsule, the first one that's been designed in over 50 years. The space shuttle first flew when I was a few months old, 40 years ago. So by opening up to commercial players, you see different innovations, you see ways of doing things. But it is important that it's going to bring in new revenue streams. The SpaceX Capsule allows up to 7 people to fly. SpaceX is selling those tickets on the open market. You've got to have very big pockets. But that funding is going to support the development of the International Space Station and in a potential next space station. We're seeing a company looking at building a private one in the future. We're going to need those to happen because low Earth orbit, where the International Space Station is hugely important for the science that takes place, the technological development. And if government agencies, the UK Space Agency with the European Space Agency and NASA and our international partners are going to send humans back to the moon and one day onto Mars, which are the exploration goals, we can't afford to keep a low Earth orbit International Space Station running with government money. But we need it there to allow the technology to be tested out and to be developed. And it's really this shift, this opening up that allows so many more people one day to fly, but also businesses now can buy access to the space station. They can develop things, they can send things up into space. And that will bring innovation, new materials, perhaps new medicines one day, all of which will benefit us all back here on Earth.
Jonathan, I should just kind of let people know that as the two of you are talking, we're seeing pictures, both pictures provided from Hawthorne in California, from SpaceX's headquarters, and also the pictures of the actual the fall into the sea off the Gulf of Mexico. But Jonathan, we saw inside the craft there, it's 7-seater, so you can see the commercial potential there. But how big sort of questions are raised by commercial exploitation of space, when in the past we've had it so strictly regulated and regulated successfully at international level?
Well, I don't think you need to worry that it's going to become less regulated. I mean, basically the way that this system has been built by SpaceX is that they've been given the freedom to innovate, to design, but they have had to meet very strict requirements that have been laid down by NASA. And, you know, NASA has tested them every single step of the way, and it would not have allowed its 2 astronauts to climb inside this vehicle if it did not believe that it was as safe as all the vehicles, the government-owned and operated vehicles that had gone before it. So we're certainly in a phase now where we're going to open things up. You know, you talk about other people going in these capsules. It looks very likely that the Hollywood actor Tom Cruise is going to fly in one of these capsules to go and make a movie on the International Space Station, which is going to be quite an event. But yes, I mean, it's really going to open things up. I don't know if you fancy going. I don't know what the ticket price is going to be.
I was going to say,
I'm not quite sure I've got enough.
I think it's a lovely dream, but I don't think it's a very realistic one for most people. But as you say, it could have really big ramifications. Let me ask you then, Libby, about that and about the opportunities there in terms of what this opens up, because there's a lot of scientific work going on at the International Space Station, but presumably, for example, for Europe, for the UK, for other parts of the world, India, for example, with its space program, they're looking at other things. Are they looking at commercial development? Are they looking at putting people on other planets? Are they looking at extracting minerals? What is it they're after?
The question was quite faint, I'm afraid, but it's certainly true that there are commercial opportunities out to the moon and onto Mars. The Artemis missions, which are going to be the humans returning to the moon, an international partnership with NASA, with the European Space Agency. The UK will play its part. Those are going to also be in partnership with commercial players. Here in the UK, we have a company that's looking at providing a commercial service around the moon to enable lunar communications, and that will help all the science missions that are going to head to the moon. Understanding the moon helps us understand where the Earth came from, how it's evolved, and what will happen next. So there is a great commercial opportunity out there in all these missions as we head further out into the solar system.
Great. Libby Jackson of the UK Space Agency and Jonathan Amos, thank you both so much for being with us for this genuinely historic moment, and wonderful that there is such good news for the news that Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley are both safely back on planet Earth after their 21-hour journey on the SpaceX Dragon craft. A new era in space exploration perhaps is opened up, and certainly in the commercial exploitation of travelling into space. You're watching BBC News.
What was it like to watch this Dragon come down?